Last time we had slope, it was 1 hour. It's when the time. I love these.
This is generally the part where you put them. Slope-intercept equations of a line, okay? You need to recognize that when you hear these two words put together, slope-intercept equation, okay, that means that the equation, the equal sign and whatever, has to be in this form. It has to look like this. Just write this down and accept it. Y equals mx plus b. This is the slope-intercept equation. Now you can't graph that because there's no numbers there, but they will give you numbers and you will be able to graph that. Now let me tell you, we've done this before, except it's looked like this. Y equals 2x minus 1. Okay, we've done this before. This, when you graph this, will be a line. How did we get that line? That's when we would make a table. And how did I figure out what x values I use? Anybody? You get to pick completely randomly whatever you want to put for x, you can put. Okay, but I wouldn't put like 5,000 because it's going to be hard to graph 5,000. But I usually pick 0 because that's a pretty easy number to work with. I could pick 3, and I could pick, I don't know,
2.
9.
5. 5.
Let's just do 5 for fun. Okay. If I pick those x numbers, I put those x numbers in for x, and I want to find out what the corresponding y thing is. So if I put 0 here, Sam, in for x, what is 2 times 0?
0.
Minus 1 is?
-1.
So that's what my y value would be. If I put 3 in for x, 2 times 3 is 6, minus 1 is 5. If I put 5 in for x, 2 times 5 is 10, minus 1 is 9. And then I would take these x and y points and on a graph, a coordinate system in the math world, at 0, -1, I put a point. At 3, 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, I put a point. And at 5, whatever that was, 9. 3, 4, 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 is a point. And these will line up in a nice straight line, and this is the graph of this equation. Okay, we've done that before, but it's about to get a lot easier. This is stuff we've done before. This was my introduction into slope-intercept equation of a line. Again, you just got to pick your x values. You put your x in there, you'll get a y. You figure out what your points are. They'll line up. You did it right, and you get a y. Kendall.
How do you read that, like the equation thing? How do you like?
Y equals mx plus b. How do you read it?
Well, like how? I don't get how to like make a graph. Like how do you like know what to do with it?
I don't know. You have to be a little more specific.
Like,
Here, you don't understand where the x numbers came from, you don't understand where the y numbers came from, or you don't understand how I got points from the x and y numbers.
Like I don't get like the whole graph. Like I get the.
But you have to give me a starting point. I mean, you can't just say you don't know how to draw the x's to make the graph, you don't know.
So I don't get how to like find what you're supposed to do out of like y equals 2x minus 1.
So, you don't know where the x's came from. Where did the x's come from?
You make up those.
Okay, so you don't understand how I take 0. Here's my equation. X is 0, so I put it in for x. 2 times 0 minus 1. That's what y is going to be. What's 2 times 0?
0.
Minus 1. That's where my y comes from. You don't understand that you're going to take all of these points and put them into that and have to do a lot of math to figure out the y's? You don't understand how this works? I don't know what you don't
Yeah,
understand.
like the y equals 2x minus 1.
It's just a
You don't know where this came from? That's the problem from the book. You don't have to make that up.
I understand this one, but like the other ones in the book, I don't know.
Well, we'll have to get to that point there. Maybe this will be good because we're not doing that anymore. Now, here is the spiel. Let me erase myself here. Y equals mx plus b. And I'm going to rewrite that equation. The equation I gave you was y equals 2x minus 1, right? That was the one we just did. Okay? I'll get yours in a second here. I'm on some sort of a roll here, Taylor. Okay, here is the deal, people. Your lives will be so much easier after we talk about this here. The letter in front of the x here is the letter m, correct? In math, the letter m is the slope of the line. So, in any slope-intercept equation, see how this is solved for y? There's an x and there's a number there at the end. The number in front of the x is the slope of the line. So in this equation here, the number in front of the x was 2, so the slope is 2. Okay? The other number, the other letter in my equation here is the letter b. The letter b is what we lovingly refer to as what's called the y-intercept. That's why this is called slope-intercept. And all that means is that this number that comes at the end is where it crosses the y-axis. That's what the slope-intercept is. This line here of the one I gave you crosses the y-axis at -1. Now you might not see the beauty of this, but here is the nice thing about this. Given where it crosses the y-axis and the slope, you can make the line without having to do any of the work that I just did. How, you ask?
How?
So check this out, and I will tell you this, write this down. Right here, step number 1. Okay, put a point on the graph, actually on the y-axis at its intercept. And that probably is a lot of words for what it really means. Okay? Simply put, what that means is this. This -1 is called the y-intercept. That's where it crosses the y-axis. So here at the y-axis, which is the up and down one, this is the x one, at -1, I know there's a point there because that's where the graph crosses there. Okay? So you've already got one point done. We just need to figure out where some other points are. And how do I know where some other points are? I know that my graph has to have a slope of 2. So, from the y-intercept, comma, count up and over the slope. Which means simply this. My line has to have a slope of 2, which, let's make it a fraction because that's going to help us. A slope of 2 means it goes up 2 for every 1 it goes over. Up 2 over 1, that's what the slope of 2 is. So here, at the y-intercept, I go up 2 and over 1, and there's going to be another point because that's going to give me a slope of 2. I can do the same thing from this point I just plotted. I can go up 2 over 1 because it has to have that same slope. Up 2 over 1. And you could keep doing that forever if you like, but you can stop at 2 or 3 or even 2 would be fine. And this is the line that crosses the y-axis at -1 and has a slope of 2. Now, if you don't get that, we're going to do a bunch of examples, and it'll become very easy, but you need to jot down your notes and make them clear. By the way, this line here, I'll bet if I go back to the one I just did, crossed at the negative axis, goes up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. Mine might have been a little longer. My pen's not there. Another example. Y equals, let's do 1/2 x plus 4. No longer do you need to make a table, you just need to follow the very simple steps of this. The first thing you do is find the y-intercept. And it's a tough one. This one's a very hard one. I know it's going to be unclear. Where does this line cross the y-axis, Colton? Shoot. What is the y-intercept? What is the number at the end of the equation? That's where it crosses the y-axis. So at 4, 1, 2, what is y? Why roll this forward? It's 3, 4. At 4, there's a dot. Stop me if you didn't get that. What number's at the end of the equation?
4.
What number do I put a dot on the y-axis?
4. That's
This is the y-axis. This is x. Taylor, if this was a -2, I put a dot at -2 on the y-axis. If it was a -8, I'd go down here and put a dot at the -8. Let me give you another one. Y equals 3/8 x minus 6. Where am I going to put a dot on the y-axis? At -6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's my starting point. Starting point. Doesn't change. What if this was y equals 2/5 x minus 16,722? Where would it put a point? Minus 16,722. Alright? The next one's usually more of the tougher one. Now step 2 is from that point, use the slope to find the next point. And my slope is always the number in front of the x. And slope is always how far up, how far over. How far up it goes, it's going to go 1 up from that point and 2 over. Now here's the kicker, which is going to take some thinking, and I'm a little scared. It goes up 1. You don't put a point there, that just tells you how far up it goes, and it goes over 2. The problem on this gets to be this. I can go up 1 over 2 in either direction. But I know my slope is a positive slope. And when positive slope has to go uphill. If I used this one, it would go downhill. And that would be a negative slope. Since it's a positive slope, you can forget that one. And you can keep going up 1 over 2 as many times as you like to feel comfortable with. You're still going to get a nice straight line right there. Now, if you didn't get it, we're going to do about 18,000 more examples. And also, it'll be on film at www.justconfusing.com. Here we go. Y equals, let's do a negative one. Negative 3/8 x, I don't know, plus 2. My graph. I start off with where it crosses the y-axis. Phil, hands up, where is that going to cross the y-axis? How do you know that? Y-intercept, just say, we'll get used to that word. At positive 2, I put a dot. That is, I know that's a dot on my graph. Again, the hard thing is figuring out the slope. It's not that hard, but you know, whatever you need to do to remember, the next dot has to go up 3 over 8. Okay.
What if it's not a fraction?
So, you, by the way, you can go down 3 over 8. I'll get to that. We already did one that wasn't a fraction. I'll get to that. Doesn't matter if you go up or down, whichever way you want to go, whatever way works best for you. I'll go down. I'm going to go down 3, 1, 2, 3 over 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Or I have to go down 3 over 8 the other direction, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, which dot is going to give me a negative slope? Because there's a minus in front of that. Zach?
The one on the left.
The one on the left. Is this not going uphill? Is this not a positive slope? Yes, the answer is yes. Which dot should I have used? I need the one on the right because negative slope goes downhill. If you watch the Olympics, if they didn't have a negative slope on that, you could never ski because it's hard to ski uphill. Never call about it down uphill skiing, it's always downhill skiing. Now maybe it'll help you, maybe it would help you as soon as you see that this is a negative slope, jot yourself a little arrow that says, okay, I need to make sure my line goes down before you even start the problem so that you know that your line is going down. So you don't forget.
So our answer is just like the line.
Your answer is just this line. That's what you're going to be asked to graph using slope-intercept form. That's what this is. What do they know?
Can we do that even if they say no slope intercept? Like if they just say regular slope?
Nah, I don't think you have to worry about it. Kendall,
Why did you go down?
because I said you could either go down or up, and I did down just to mix it up. The top number is either down or up, it doesn't matter which you pick, and the bottom number is either over to the right or over to the left, doesn't matter which one you pick, it just needs to make sure that your slope matches what your slope is, whether it's negative slope or positive slope. You can go down or up, left or right, it's gotta match up though.
With the dot on the y-axis, does that to line up with the dot?
They will if you did it right. You will always draw a line through the line that you put through the y-axis, always. Okay, Laura.
Well,
No,
the little fraction thing with your, okay, you
Slope, yep.
the little slope. So whatever that thing is, that's what you
How
do.
far up and over you go.
So what if I went up 8 and over 3?
So then you did it wrong. Because the top number is the up and down number, the bottom number is always the left or right number. You can't flip-flop those.
Could I have done it, because you did it down 3
Sure,
over
I can
8.
go up 3,
So
watch.
could I go up
1,
3?
2, 3, up. But in that case, I'd have to go 8 over this way. My dot would be over there. It doesn't matter where you go. Huh?
why is it on that other side?
Because if I do the dot on this side, it's a positive slope and my slope is negative. You have to decide that.
Wait, but then it's still going down though. If you were to do it on the right, then it would still be going down.
Now, if I did it on the right and I went through this dot here, it goes uphill like that. Y equals 2/5 x minus 2. Graph me that, please. It should be done. It's just that, I'm just saying it's that fast. This is not a complicated thing, it's a 2-step process. Okay, just make sure your slope is going up, not down. You're going uphill, so when you go, you're up 2 and over 5, you need to make sure you go the right way. And you really only just need to do one, because you're really not gonna change anything by doing a lot of them. It is a package. Here it is, cut and dry. Y-intercept, -2. And let me tell you, I see a lot of people do this, and some of you will come up to me and do this, and I'll go, really? After I told you were gonna do this? So many people put a dot there, and then they start counting their slope at the origin for some reason. Okay, don't do that. You have to start at the point that you put on there, and your slope is a positive 2/5. That means the line has to go uphill, so make sure you do that. Up or down 2 doesn't matter. Up 2 gets me back to this point here, over 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Second dot right there. Your line should look like that. If you went down 2, you have to go over 5 this way.
How'd I get
Now, Josh asked a question, there's a couple things we have to talk about. What if it's this? What if it was y equals x? That is still in slope-intercept form, you just kind of have to read into it. First of all, you can always put a plus 0 there and a 1 in front of the x. You have a slope of 1 over 1, and it crosses the y-axis at 0. At 0, it's the origin. It's 1 over 1, it goes up 1 over 1, it's positive slope, so it's just going to keep going up 1 over 1, up 1 over 1. If it was some other number, Josh, y equals 3x plus 1, make it a fraction by putting it over 1. Okay? Now you are 7th graders. That would mean that you do draw lines with rulers and straight lines. You're not going to do all of these, so because we haven't talked about the second part of this, but I do want you to do this. First of all, you're not going to do, but don't cross these off because we will eventually. Don't put a big old X through it. You're not going to do problem 1. You're not going to do problem number 4. You're not going to do problem 6. So, I don't know, however, just X them off, no 1, no 4, no 6. And you are going to do just problems 1 through 10. 1 through 10, no 1, no 4, no 6.
So
Again, with the ruler, if you freehand these, you will be shunned at the end. No shooting, just shunned.
And wait, and then go to 10.
And like I told Gabe, please don't put a big X through the problem, because we will do it eventually. Just cross off maybe the number to do it. We will do those eventually. No 1, no 4, no 6. No 1, no 4, no 6. Slope-intercept form. So really what's that give you? You have 11 problems, 10 problems, you don't have to do 3. If you're right using the ruler or straight slope drive. Did I say no 1, no 4, no 6? Go back.